I don't think you can accurately judge Shedeur Sanders and his long-term outlook based off of the performance against the Baltimore Ravens. So I want to talk about Shedeur Sanders and how I feel about where he is coming out of this Baltimore Ravens game. Now, for perspective, I have been called a lot of crazy things because I have been critical about Shedeur when I feel like he needs to have some critique sent his way. But here's the take coming out of the Browns-Ravens game and Shedeur's first performance. I don't think you can accurately judge Shedeur Sanders and his long-term outlook based off of the performance against the Baltimore Ravens, where he didn't really have any reps with any of those first-team guys. He was thrown into the game. There wasn't much of a game plan for him. So I don't think you can judge it one way or the other. Was he good in this game? No, absolutely not. But at the same time, I do think there are some things that you have to take into consideration. Here's my problem, though. There are people who are like, oh, well, look at some of the things he was able to do, even though there were all these things working against him. He was not good in this game. But I also push back on the people that are like, yeah, he's going to be bad because of this one game. All right, I don't think that's fair because, the people who are saying, hey, there's some things that you have to take into consideration. I think they're right from that perspective as well. I don't think that you can really have a take about Shedeur Sanders coming out of this game. My take about Shedeur Sanders is I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. I thought he was a really good college quarterback. I just don't think he's an NFL quarterback, which is fine. There's plenty of quarterbacks that I think are great college quarterbacks that just aren't NFL guys. Tim Tebow, great college quarterback, wasn't an NFL quarterback, even though I think Shedeur as an NFL quarterback is going to be a much better NFL quarterback than Tim Tebow was. Sam Bradford, great college quarterback, wasn't an NFL guy. Justin Fields, great college quarterback, he's not an NFL guy. It just is what it is. Sometimes there's just great quarterbacks in college that just aren't NFL guys because they don't have the traits that you need to be an NFL quarterback. And that's where I think Shedeur Sanders is. But am I going to just completely rule him out based off of the performance that he had against the Baltimore Ravens? No, I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's fair to say that at all. Because again, I agree with people who say he didn't have any first team reps. He didn't have a game plan built for him. Shedeur's gonna play better this upcoming week. He just is, because they're going to build a game plan for him. He's going to get more reps with the first team. He's actually going to go in a game where the Browns are saying, all right, you're our guy for this game. We're going to try and put you in the best position to succeed. And let's see what happens. Now, this whole thing, does Stefanski hate Shedeur Sanders? I don't think that's the case. I just don't think he thinks he's that good. That's where I think this all comes from. And whether you want to say he's justified for thinking like that, that's your opinion. But I'm just saying, Kevin Stefanski does not think Shedeur Sanders is that good. Because here's the thing. At the end of the day, if Shedeur Sanders was Josh Allen and he was acting like Shedeur Sanders acts, and I'm just saying, I'm not saying it's good or bad, just the way he acts, if Stefanski thinks a certain type of way about that, I don't think he'd care. Why? Because he had a franchise quarterback. He would have a franchise quarterback. He would have job security for the next 10 years. Sean McDermott has job security for years because he has Josh Allen. Kevin Stefanski wanted Shedeur Sanders to be a great quarterback. He wants him to be a great quarterback. Why? Because if he's a great quarterback, he has job security. What does job security bring you? That brings consistent food on your family's table, because I know people are trying to push this narrative that Stefanski hates Shedeur Sanders. And it's just absolutely ridiculous, because at the end of the day, this is a job. This is how this man makes a living. This is how he puts food on the table for his family. And if Shedeur Sanders is as great as people say Shedeur Sanders is, if he's as great as Colin Cowherd thought he was going in the draft, where he said he'd trade George Pickens, TJ Watt, and 2 1s for Shedeur Sanders, I don't think there'd be a happier person on this planet than Kevin Stefanski. That's just the way I feel about this. That's honestly, it's not the way I feel. That's just the way it is. You have a quarterback, you have job security. Kevin Stefanski wants job security. If it's Shedeur Sanders, if it's Dillon Gabriel, if it's whoever it is. And here's the thing. It never surprised me that Dillon Gabriel got reps over Shedeur Sanders. Why? Because Dillon Gabriel was drafted in the 3rd round and Shedeur was drafted in the 5th round. Usually, guys who are drafted in earlier rounds are going to get a crack before the guy who was drafted in the later round. It's just how it is. It happened in Washington as well with RG3. They drafted RG3 and they drafted Kirk Cousins. They gave RG3 every chance in the world. And then when they saw it, no, this isn't the guy. Now we're going to move to Kirk Cousins. This isn't a Shedeur Sanders thing. It's happened before. So my grand take on this is I'm not judging Shedeur Sanders based off this game. He was not good. I don't care what anybody tries to lie to me and say to me. But I also don't think it's fair to completely write him off just because of this one game. Now, I don't think he's an NFL quarterback, but I could be proven wrong. I've been wrong plenty of times. And if he's an NFL quarterback, if Shedeur Sanders turns out to be a great quarterback, great for him. That would be awesome. I have no ill will towards Shedeur Sanders. I'm just trying to be honest about the situation. And sometimes honesty could be misconstrued for somebody hating on somebody. I have no ill will towards Shedeur Sanders. Like Deion Sanders, I will fight tooth and nail. If anybody tries to tell me there's a better athlete than Neon Deion, I'm going to push back every single time. You're talking about a guy who played baseball in the NFL and is the best cornerback of all time. That's insane. But that's besides the point. Shedeur Sanders, we'll see what happens.